provide context around what we talk about so you have the clarity to cut through the noise and the confidence to grow and run a truly harmonious business. Let's jump in and take the next step to achieving business freedom. Hey, business freedom sounds awesome. Do we help people with business freedom?
We do help them with that. With clarity, confidence, and community, we do help them do that. We do many more things than that too. But
and we do it.
Let's let Len discover that. What are we talking about today, Brandon?
We're talking about this thing. So I've noticed this thing. I've talked to a lot of people, and it seems to be a common issue. It's this 1 to 5-ish million, 1 to 3 million in revenue is really sticky. Businesses get there and they stay there for a long time. Some people power right through it because they're set up the right way. Fantastic. Some people stay there, get stuck, and others eventually fade off because it's hard to continue to run there. It's a stressful place to be. It's like this glass ceiling. What is it?
It is don't get stuck in molasses swamp. We're playing Candyland. Everything's fun. It's beautiful scenery, but we just can't get somewhere. Why is that, Brandon? You've been talking about you. Hey, Brandon.
Hey,
Brandon,
Sean.
You run a top-rated 1% kind of rated podcast show talking to entrepreneurs who are stuck in molasses swamp. Are there reasons for that? Just in general, you can riff and jam. I don't need the polished answer on the one true key, but just what are some of the reasons?
I'll give you the general consensus answer. To be clear, we are not a 7-figure podcast, but yes, we talk to a lot of people in this range. No, I know, but that top 1% show, it is monetized, but it's not 7-figure monetized. Anyway, topic for a different day. But these people, yes. So we talk to a lot of different people. We talk to people on the consultant side. Not necessarily all consultants. We have marketing experts, health experts, people like that, helping business owners grow their businesses in a specific area. Awesome. We also have the people who are business owners, who are running successful businesses. And the ones that are in this range or approaching it, they tell me the same things. And these people who are experts on the other side, they see the same things in their clients. And it comes down to the person who's running the business usually is the one who started the business. 99 times out of 100, the founder, the person who had the original idea, they were a solopreneur and they grew it up to that 7-figure mark. They've taken the path that got them to where they are, and they're just trying to do more of it. So not that those paths don't work, not that they're doing anything wrong. It's just that equation of doing more doesn't equal more. It's the law of diminishing returns, right?
Yes.
The other thing is, and it's really more of a mindset than anything else, is they're acting as a operator. Like they're task rabbits, just like, and that's what they're empowering all their employees to be, is more task rabbits. They're at the center of decision making, and they are required for the business to get anything done and move forward. And these symptoms, if you will, present themselves over and over and over from both sides of that coin. How do you feel about that?
And Brandon, well, why don't they just look around them and see what every other entrepreneur is doing?
Well, Sean, funny you ask, because
what do they see when they look at what everyone else is doing?
Everybody's doing the same thing.
So it's got to be right because everybody's doing it.
Correct, obviously.
And we are making money. When people go, God, you work so hard. Well, my parents appreciated hard work, and nobody wants something for nothing, right? Unless we're dire straits, right? Nobody wants money for nothing. We need to work hard. And everybody else who's making this kind of money, which most people aren't making this kind of money running their own thing. They have to be a corporate executive suffering and slaving away. At least I'm not that. See, I'm free and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm making this much money and I have employees and I have a good lifestyle. It's killing me to do it, but nobody's happy. Everybody is dying in the process. and killing themselves. So who am I to sit back and have it be easy? The people who have it easy, well, they're just lucky, or just wicked talented, or lightning struck, and they're a different breed. I'm not Marcus Lemonis. I could never be him. I can do this, and I guess what got me here is going to get me there. And fit enough. I can't run the marathon still, but marathoners are just a different breed of animal. Maybe I'll never run a marathon. Maybe I'll just run what I can run as my joints ache and my feet bleed, and I'll just do this because this is what it is. Because what's the alternative? I can't run any faster. So the alternative is I just stop running. Is that the essence of essentially the feeling of what these people are saying?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, even if you look at, you mentioned the big fancy corporate job making a lot of money. Most people don't even have, they're not even close to that. Their business could be making a few million in revenue, but they don't have the luxury and the flexibility that those people do, because they get time off. They get time away from their business, away from their cell phone and their email inbox
And you know what
to make decisions.
the people do at those big businesses? The person who's making the big corporate salary to just do strategy, because that's all I do, they don't have to worry about sales or marketing. You know who worries about sales? The salesperson. And you know why that salesperson doesn't worry about selling? Because they don't fulfill on any of the back end. So of course they can lean into their salesmanship and sell and do nothing but sell. And well, Gary, he's always selling. He's a salesman. He's a born salesman. But can he actually deliver on anything? No. So he's great. Gary's exactly where he should be, making big money to do that thing for this machine. As entrepreneurs, you are the machine, or a lot of it, until you set up these other places. Now, if you're struggling at that place, that cap, you do have people who are focused, hopefully, on each of these elements. So you're not doing all of them, but you're still doing so much of them that you can't scale past it. You're still holding on to too much stuff. We know you're holding on to too much stuff because you just told us you're stuck. You're holding on to too much stuff. No, I'm not. Oh, so you're not stuck. Yes, I am. One or the other. We're not going to let you wiggle and say, I'm holding on to the exact right amount. But other stuff is stopping me. You're the leader. Nothing is stopping you but you. Well, my people can't handle it. You hired them. You train them. You manage them. You lead them. What do you mean? It's them. It's Gary again. We're going to just go, who's the guy? It's Phil. Phil doesn't do anything around here. That's on you. Well, my partners, I have these JVs and they're not pulling the way. That's on you. Well, my supply chain got screwed up and market dynamics are shifting and my competition. That's on you. I can't control any of that. That's external. You have to ameliorate the damage. You have to see it coming. You have to ward yourself off from some of those things that can happen. You have to be ready to pivot when they do. That's all on you. How well you do it, or how well you find the people to help you do that. That's on you, and it's a lot. And so sometimes we just say, I'm not going to fight that fight. I could just be here because everybody else is normalizing this pain. It's kind of like when you're sick, you have like a nagging injury and it's been forever and suddenly it clears up and you go, oh, I had no idea how sick I was until I wasn't sick anymore. So we normalize the pain of being an entrepreneur by looking around and commiserating with each other and going to marketing conferences with marketers, marketing to marketers, talking about the struggles and trials and tribulations of marketing. My God, we've put ourselves in the room of other people with this shared pain with no way out. Sounds like I'm taking a swipe at Alcoholics Anonymous, but I'm like, why would you go into that room and say, I'm going to identify as a person who has this thing. I have the status of being an entrepreneur. Therefore, I'm in pain and grinding against, and hey, I'm down with the struggle. And when lightning strikes, maybe we'll get there. It's not the definition I'd give myself if I wanted to be something other than that.
That's actually a funny example. I never thought of it that way, but so not to pick on AA, I've never been. For those of you who have, that's okay. I hope you got better. But if I were an alcoholic, as a matter of fact, the room I should be in is CA, Coffeeholics Anonymous. But if I wanted to quit that thing, why would I go into a room of other people trying to quit? Shouldn't I go to a room of people who have already gone past it and
Well, I
hang out
think
with them?
yes. So I think the first point is let's, because we don't want to just be shitting on that for people. It's a great example, but let's clear that up. If you have an addiction or a problem that is able to exist because part of it is isolation and a refusal to admit that the problem is there, then the first step has to be identifying that, okay, I've been hiding from the problem is there. Just like,
Fine.
so Brandon, this is just like the bad for entrepreneurs. What do you mean I have a problem? I made $1 million last year, but it could have been 10. No. I'm good. I'm regulating. Yeah, I do some stuff that isn't good for me. I get it. But that's how I get through the day. Okay, so our coping mechanisms are now we have shared coping mechanisms across entrepreneurs. I sat at Funnel Hacking Live in the morning, after having done my morning routine and showing up how I want to show up to maximize my value in this meeting. And I hear, so for those who don't know, listening to this Funnel Hacking Live, it's a room where everybody's an entrepreneur. And now I'm listening because I'm part of who we are. Brandon is observing everything around us and finding truth everywhere that it is permeating our environment. I'm hearing these people talk about, well, how'd you sleep? How was your dinner? How was your this? How was your that? And I hear the routines and the coping mechanisms flying at me left and right. And I hear no recognition of people saying it's suboptimal, but here's what I'm coping with and against and validating for, and here's how I'm going to move past it. There's none of that. And because it's shared and so many people are talking about all the same wrong things, they think, well, this is part of our ethos. And so now that I bake this into this is what happens. So if I identify as an entrepreneur, I also accept all, if this, then what? And now I accept all of that. And that's bullshit. But they're doing it because identifying as an entrepreneur amongst entrepreneurs does what? Gives them context and gives them a frame of reference when they go home and their spouse says, I don't know anybody like you, because your husband or wife or whomever you're coming home to works in corporate America, doesn't understand it, doesn't get it in all the ways. And so now you need to say, well, why would you say that? Well, because nobody we know does that. We all have this life, Phil. Did we start with Phil? We're sticking with Phil. We all have this life, Phil, and you're over here doing this thing. I need to find a community. That's why we need this then. So we find a community that validates your actions based on the acceptance of the definition that you have now accepted for yourself. So no, I am an entrepreneur and therefore these things. And I know it's true because I hang out with entrepreneurs and they all validate that these are our wins. This is what we're all chasing. And these are our struggles. And so, of course, I'm making $1 million, but you say 10, but I'm not that person yet. I have to go to a bunch of courses or work way harder. I have to ignore that I have a wife and kids and just and be a beast and go after it. All kinds of then bad advice comes out, and then they find that validation for that part of it because we're trying to find reasons why we believe that the universe revolves around the earth, but we can't explain eclipses. But we'll find a whole bunch of other people that say, well, this is just the way it is. And we're gonna try to find some reason to explain it, rather than saying maybe the premise is wrong. Maybe the sun is the center. Does that explain more of what's going on? Because if it does, now we have a better model of the universe, and now we can show up in better ways with more understanding and more clarity. And it's hard to do without a coach, mentor, event. Something has to happen to trigger that, to go, oh my God, didn't even see it. Right? I was looking at shadows on the cave instead of looking that way to see what's actually behind me. You and I have been talking a lot about Plato and truth and philosophy. Anyway, so where are we, Brandon? Where are you with that?
If I followed that correctly, we are not the center of the universe, but the sun is, and we're around the sun. Did I get it right?
You got that right. So what I am saying is, it's really hard if you accept the definition. So we're not, it's not the isolation thing, but so let's not worry about that, because in that stage of
No, and I wasn't speaking of the isolation piece. It was exactly the marketers marketing to marketers about marketing example. When you go and you hang out with, and I don't mean physically too. I mean, if your Facebook group list is all people complaining about the same problems, you're chiming in, you're listing your problems, you're going to events, you're hanging around the same people, you must change the way you think about things. It's your perspective on where you are is really the issue, the core of the issue, because you think, if I just do more of what got me to this 7-figure point where I'm stuck, I will fix it. But that's the wrong perspective, because if you talk to anybody who's run a business on the other side of that, they say, I do none of those things, and I can't do any of those things because that'll drag me and my company down. But we don't have that perspective shift until we start hearing that from more of those people.
And what you're thinking is not as important as the so what's that come after it. Okay, so truth sits there. There are things that are true, and we can acknowledge those things are true. And then where we start to deviate on our so what is what makes every single person, because truth is there regardless of whether or not we see it, believe in it. Gravity exists everywhere all the time. And so what? So we should fly. We should build flying machines. That's great. Or so what? I should keep my feet on the ground. This is where God intended me. I'm not doing anything, right? About it. I'm not going to leave the earth. You can have all kinds of so what's after that, have dramatically different lives based on your assumptions of what comes next. So that's a ridiculous example to prove the point of, well, I'm an entrepreneur. So what? Well, this, and this. I call bullshit on 80% of it. Because why would you do that to me? That's the 80% you don't like that you think's hard. So of course I call bullshit on it. And let me show you why it's only the 20% that you like that really is the leverage. And let's lean into that. Nobody can, you can't do that. Why do you say no one can do that? Because I haven't seen many people do it. Has anybody ever done it? And even if your answer is no, well, then if we followed you, if you were leading the country, we never would have gotten to the moon. Your so what's are off. They're limiting. Well, I'm a white man in America in 2024. So what? Facts. So what? Does it mean anything or doesn't it mean anything? I prefer to say it doesn't mean anything. So then act like it doesn't mean anything. And if somebody else says, oh no, that comes with baggage and problems and issues, and do you see what they're doing now? And it's the reverse discriminate, all this bullshit. If you say so, what does your acceptance of victimhood get you? Nothing. A community that I can commiserate with, to give myself excuses for not doing better. Fuck all the way off. You're screwing yourself. I don't like it. Not for me. It doesn't impact me. For you. What are you accepting? What are your so whats in any definition or any acceptance of anything that you find to be true? And your so whats then define where you go. I am a white man in America in 2024. So what? So I am a funky MFer that everybody wants to have coaching them. Why would that be it? That's what I'm running with, because my so what's define who I am and how I show up in the world and what I get done. That's why. That's why I would do it. Why wouldn't you do it? I don't want to do it because I want to make sure that my assumptions about the world align with every single other unsuccessful person I've ever seen. Knock yourself out, dude. It's a big room.
I love it. So we promised the people that we would tell them not only where this sticking point is and how they got here, but how to scale past it. But
So
here's what I believe in.
Go ahead.
As we are almost out of time here. I believe in clickbait titles. I love them. They're near and dear to my heart.
You do.
And I do want to deliver on that. We do not believe, however, on a one-size-fits-all business model. So I cannot tell you that specifically for you listening until I see the results of the bad. We already mentioned it. So step 1 is go take the bad. Step 2 is acknowledge that other people have gotten past this point, have gotten to it, through it, well beyond it. Let's look at the biggest companies in the world. It's possible. It's possible for you. I just am not going to sit here and say, here's the 3-step process to scale past 7 figures. No, it should be custom for you and your business and your
The
vision.
3-step process is first accept that you are stuck because you are not seeing what is holding you back. And your model of the world is wrong. It doesn't explain a solar eclipse, so your model is wrong. Step 2 is get clarity. There's lots of ways to do that. We have a way. Take the bad, and in less than 8 minutes, you'll find out where your big sticking points are that you don't see. Step 3 is do something about it. So what? Hey, my model was wrong, and now I see that I'm digging in the wrong place. So what? So you're an idiot and a loser, and your business should be shuttered, or you're a person who saw it and now is going to do something about it. And you're an entrepreneur and you're stuck in that place because you're somebody who takes action. So continue to accept that part of your definition, take action, do something about it. Brandon, we got to go change lives in another room. Let's do